So, welcome to GT430. What is a GT430 like to drive? The thing that really characterises this car over other Evoras more than anything else are the dampers, the Öhlins adjustable dampers. Now, straight away you have a much higher spring rate, so it is a firmer car than an Evora 400. I was able to confirm that by driving an Evora 400 back to back with this on roads that I know well. And this is a much firmer car. However, the dampers are of such high quality that the ride is, in my opinion, for a car of this type, fantastically good. I think it rides better than my Exige did, and yet in overall grip terms it ought to be higher, it ought to be better and set faster lap times. If anyone else has got an Exige and they're interested in how an Evora feels after that, I will say straight away it is a nicer road car. Road journeys, this car has sound deadening, the last one didn't. That makes quite a big difference. It's a nicer car to drive on the road, yet the front end steering response is, if anything, on this model, if anything, even sharper. So it's quite an impressive duality it's got. And having fully adjustable suspension, you can soften it off for the road as it has been now, and you can stiffen it up for the track. On road settings, it does understeer on the power on a circuit. However, off the power rolling in, I have never experienced such front end turn-in. It literally will, you think, you get to the point where you would expect understeer, you add more lock and the car just comes in. The steering response is incredible, and beyond any other Evora, I believe, including the excellent Sport 410. Now, what a lot of people want to know is how it goes in a straight line compared to an Evora Sport 410. Well, I'm going to go back to the road I drove the Evora Sport 410 on, and we'll see directly how it compares. I believe it is quicker. I believe the main gains are in the mid-range. The Evora Sport 410 was great fun, but it did feel a bit flat in the mid-range and came back really strongly at 6,000 RPM. This car feels strong all the way. I mean, I'm at 40 miles an hour now. Less than that now. Right, so third gear, 30 miles an hour, 2,000 revs, and there's really convincing pull at low speed. Now, the Sport 410 wasn't bad, but it probably wasn't better than the Evora 400 at that point. It only felt quicker than the Evora 400 at very high revs. This feels quicker from 2,000 onwards. So it's quite a torquey beast, this 430 motor, and a great engine actually. So a word on just the driving basics of this car. The fundamentals of driving are absolutely fantastic. I describe this car as something that's short on software but big on hardware. All the money has gone on expensive high-end suspension components. The suspension specs on this car are incredible. It does have a great suite of electronics for the track use, but I don't think any of that really comes into play in road driving. The only thing you might want to do is keep it in sport for the higher RPM. It does cut out at about 6-7 in the default mode, the Tour mode. But the basics, driving position for me is absolutely spot on. It's better than the Exige. It's less exciting and dramatic than the Exige, which really feels like you're sitting low in a race car tub. This feels a little bit more conventional, but you can adjust the wheels. I have it here, much higher up, closer to your chest, which is ultimately where you want it. The Exige's wheel was a little bit lower, closer to your knees than this. So as I said, the fundamentals are stunning. Gearbox precise. I've never missed a shift either on road or track yet. So that's fantastic. The pedal feel right the way through. The brakes are, I think, the best I have ever used in a road car. Incredible anchors. Can't fault them. But as a good driver's car should, there's a balance of control weights. Everything is of the sort of lightness and precision you'd expect and want from Lotus. So again, the way this car picks up immediately on the throttle, and this is way before I'm talking about full throttle, but I'm at 3,000 revs on quite a nice, quite a challenging B road, and being supercharged, there's no lag, there's instant drive. Christmas Day. My goodness. The lateral acceleration is breathtaking. The way it changes direction. It changes direction like a very small, very light car. And it's quite a small, quite a light car, but that gives you no idea about how quickly it changes direction. So it feels truly and spectacularly mid-engined. I'm never going to lose the front on one of these, I don't think. Christmas Day. Okay. Yes, it feels rampantly fast on the road, and quicker than I remember the Sport 410 feeling on the road. It's sort of got an aggressive response to throttle. I love the crescendo of the 410. Regardless of actual straight line performance figures, the way it makes the power, the way it accelerates is really nice on the 410. This one still has the crescendo over 6. It goes again, it gets a second wind. So that bit is maintained, which I like, but the charge up to 6 is much stronger. So by the time you get that top end rush at 6, you are really piling on the coals, and it does feel hellish quick on the road, I have to be honest. It just does feel, and it's not just the glimpse of some active bonnet vents, it just does feel very special. And okay, with this car you're always going to come back to it needing to feel special for the asking price, but it does, and it does feel like a very special version, really. But really this car is above all else about grip and handling, and in that regard it is too much for the road, really. This car does have wider tyres front and rear than an Evora Sport 410 and Evora 400. It has 245 front section tyres rather than 235, and it has 295 rear section tyres over 285s. 10 centimetres more rubber. The front wheels are the same size, but the tyres are wider. The steering is still very delicate. In terms of precision, it's up there with the 211, which is the most precise Lotus car I've ever driven, most precise car I've ever driven. That's surgically precise. I'd say this is borderline approaching that. There we see we're really rocketing already. I think it was here, I was in the Sport 410. See, shift a gear and it just goes again. It really digs deep. Just feels like it will grip forever. Astonishing. This is quite a lumpy B road, nice clear section here. I mean, you have to have a word with yourself, really, to restrain yourself from driving as quickly as this car can. I mean, the lateral acceleration, we didn't even hear a squeak from the tyres. I mean, that is nothing. You think, oh, I'm going in there a bit quick, and it's just, it shrugs it off. The value for money argument is always a difficult one with this. From where I'm coming from an Exige, this offers quite a lot more car because it's a lot nicer road car, and in theory it's a quicker track car too. So that's a win-win. However, if you have an Evora 400, this doesn't look like offering great value for money. There are roads and there are times and places where the 400, which is more compliant, you know, you could argue would be the better car. It's more practical, you can see out the back better, you can get, it's got +2 rear seats, which you can get in one of these if you want. So coming from an Evora 400 to this, I struggle a bit with the cost of change. Coming from an Exige to this, for me, made more sense because the Exige was utterly thrilling on the road and brilliant on the track, but harder work on a long journey. There were journeys I took where I kind of felt, what am I doing in a race car? Why am I driving on a freezing cold, miserable motorway in a race car? However, this does feel like a lovely road car. In fact, you know, driving around the Alps or driving across Europe, long journeys, this could do long journeys with a much bigger fuel tank. It feels a more rigid car as well than an Exige, which it is. It's got higher torsional rigidity. I think it's beautifully put together in here. If you can hear a single squeak or rattle, let me know. I can't hear one, which is nice. It's what it needs to be. This is where Lotus need it to be. If they want to go and chase higher prices, they need to deliver a high quality product. And so far, this would appear to be the case. The only item on the snagging list for the first service was the boot release was a bit sticky. There's a button down here for the boot release. You press that, sometimes it wouldn't come up. through sections like that, it is breathtaking. The dampers are so fluid and composed at speed. Below 40 miles an hour, they're a little bit uncompromising. Above 40 or 50, the car just flows beautifully. It really is exceptional. And the grip is extraordinary. Those are the two words I'd use to sum up this car: grip and precision. And the third one is noise. It does feel very very quick, I must admit. There's a kind of frenzy of acceleration in higher revs. It feels as feral and aggressive as it sounds. As a package, it feels beautifully balanced in terms of grip to power to brakes. It doesn't feel like a sort of modified Evora 400. It feels like an all-over developed car, which is exactly what it is. The way the dampers allow you to carry speed is really remarkable, and the grip, the feeling of solidity and security when you tip into a corner, and it just always feels like you could be turning harder and faster. But as you would hope with a Lotus, there's that lovely delicacy to the control weight. The steering is actually very light. It might sound like a sort of thuggish, brutish car, but it's actually a very much a precision instrument. This car for me combines the two. It's got some of the sort of connected feeling of driving on the road that you get from an Exige. It's got some of the sort of supercar histrionics with the sound through this titanium pipe. So it sort of combines the two. It's got the agility of something like an Exige, but it's also got a lot more refinement than an Exige. Certainly the one I had. Now we're doing 60 now. Okay, we're not doing 60. Okay, we're doing 55, your American speed limit, and it's quiet and civilised in here. You can do long journeys in one of these. It's a real strength of the Evora package. So I don't know any other car that blends that kind of Lotus agility and communication with something that's more usable and refined.
In 9.5 miles, at the roundabout, take the second exit onto E360.
It's a mega engine, monster. It's smooth, it pulls hard, and it crescendos, and I think that's what gives it character, which it does have bags of. Now, it's not the greatest engine in the world. Shall we talk about some negatives? I can talk about some negatives. Right, the Exige Cup 430 is easier to access the reservoirs to adjust the rear dampers. I've tried putting my hand through the wheel. It's a bit of a struggle. The only way to really do it properly is to take the rear wheels off, so it's a bit more of a performance than easy access to remote reservoirs. The front wheels, the front dampers are easy to adjust. Just turn the wheels on full lock, get access to them, no problem at all. The rears is wheels off in my experience. So that's, you know, more of a job for track days. What I did today was I took the wheels off yesterday, put it into track settings, and I'm driving home on track settings, and it's fine. It's a little bit lumpy, but it's not undrivable on track settings. Other negatives. Now, it has, I think it was pointed out by someone, which I think is a fair criticism. Somebody reported that it can be inconsistent response to throttle for stuff like heel and toe. I have experienced that, but I have to say today in race mode it was sharp and responding well and consistent, so I didn't experience any inconsistencies. But sometimes on the road you can go for a heel and toe downshift and the engine sort of coughs and it doesn't quite respond as cleanly to heel and toe. That can happen on the road, but it wasn't happening on the track. Now, I think one area of criticism which is valid is the seats. Although I really like the seats themselves, and I get on with this particular driving position very well. Of the two, I think it is slightly better than the Exige. The Exige has a lower steering wheel, lower and closer. I prefer this slightly higher. It's not the most attractive looking steering wheel in the world, but it's quite special. They use a magnesium rim and it's very carefully weighted. Lotus put a lot of time and effort into getting the weighting of the Evora wheel just right. So despite its slightly ungainly looks, it's a nice thing to use. So seats, I think seats are a valid criticism. Now they're fantastic actually, and I didn't miss harnesses today as much as I thought I was going to. I just don't understand why there isn't more adjustment. A lot of people don't like this bolt upright seating position. It does also compromise headroom a little bit. Now with a helmet it's very, very close with a helmet, and certain designs of helmets with vents and stuff on them would actually touch the roof and ultimately probably mark your roof. So I think it would be great if they just simply offered seat brackets with some adjustment, and that just means there's a few more holes drilled. It's as simple as that. I don't know why they don't offer it. It seems like such an easy solution and not an expensive one. I mean, really, for the money and the price, it should have a motorsport style adjustable bracket with a bit more adjustment. What I could do is lower the rear mounting point, get a bit more headroom, get a little bit more rake, and the car be absolutely spot on. But that option isn't open to me. I'm going to have to do that myself, and I know people that have done it themselves. They've drilled into this seat mounting. Don't really see what excuse Lotus have for not offering that. For me, the Sparkos sit noticeably higher than these, and although you can adjust the rake at the back to give yourself more headroom, I just think this is a better seat for me and for track use. To try and get past this Skoda at some point. Quite nice. You'll see a little bit of this car's overtaking ability, which is mighty. It's a little bit stiff on track settings for your British B road. On road settings it would eat this up. Wow. It's a bloody quick car. It really is. It's got a really relentless surge to it. Just doesn't back off as the revs all the way to the limiter. It's just piling on the coals. So yeah, as a package it's fantastic, it really is. Not enough people are trying these, not enough people are considering these. I really think if more people drove these on road and track, it would convert a lot more people. But anyway, it is what it is. Their loss, my gain.